The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
What's up, everybody? Happy game day. Not much time before tip this morning, is there? We've gotten so used to these, 8 o'clock at night, Saturday tip-offs, and here we are finally with an 11 a.m. At least they're doing it on the road. But because of that, we got to do some quick hits this morning. We got to get in and out of here. Y'all ain't got time for all my nonsense, all my ranting. We've got about 10 minutes to roll through it, but we got some things to talk about. We had a pregame press conference scheduled on Friday with Arkansas assistant Bruiser Flint. We haven't had him before, but that got canceled. Arkansas moved up their travel plans. They're getting out of town earlier, so they had to cancel that Zoom. With that being the case, we got some rapid fire stuff that we're going to throw at you. A lot of talk about the bubble implications for the Hogs here in this one. But let's start maybe with how the Razorbacks have fared against A&M in the past. Not the team, we're talking individually speaking, since they have so many returners at College Station. You think about Wade Taylor, Manny Obaseki, Anderson Garcia, Solomon Washington, Henry Coleman, a lot of dudes who have been there for a long time. So it's relevant to see what the Razorbacks have done against these guys in the past. So how about this? We'll go last season. DJ Wagner against A&M in the first game, 18 points on those dudes. Now, he had the injury, and that impacted him later in the season. They played in the SEC tournament. He had 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists in that game in the SEC tournament. Big Z didn't play against him the first game. He did in the second game. He had 7 points and 3 blocks. Adu Thero, same situation. I think he was hurt, injured, out for that first game, played in the second game, 7 points, 5 rebounds, 3 block shots. Now, we always think about those Kentucky guys. We're like, oh, yeah, they played for Cal in the past, whatever. There's more than that. Jonas Adu at Tennessee, 6-5 in the first game against Tennessee last year, or against Texas A&M last year. Played him the second game. Hear me out, because we think about the physicality, the toughness and the pain of Texas A&M, the way they get on the boards. Jonas had 18 points, 14 rebounds against Texas A&M in that second game last year. I like the way that sounds. Oh, and how about this? Trevor Brazile, 8 points and 5 boards against those guys. But John L. Davis, you don't think about him that much against SEC competition. Now, he was at Florida Atlantic. They went on their Final Four run and everything like that, and he played some really good competition there. They did play Texas A&M last season. It was while Arkansas was in the Bahamas, and they were playing in this different event. Drew Texas A&M, he torched them. John L. Davis, 26 points on 6 made threes against Wade Taylor and the boys. I see that, and I think, you know what? Sounds like a pretty good time for him to double down against the Aggies. He's going to be my pick to click in this game for Arkansas. Now, let's get into a little bit of bracketology conversation here, because everybody wants to know, what does Arkansas need to do? Are they on the bubble, off the bubble, in the field, out of the field? Well, frankly, it depends on who you ask, right? But let's look at some of the latest projections here and see what we got going on. Joe Lunardi, for example, has lost his mind. We had to report him to the Better Brackets Bureau. He's got to do a better job here. Listen, I know he's not the greatest in the world, bracketology, the rankings, whatever. He is the most well-known. That's why we reference him quite a bit. He's also usually really, really good at predicting the field, like the teams that are going to actually get in. Maybe not so great at where they're going to be seated or what their matchups are. He usually nails it in terms of the 68 teams that get in there. Like he said before the LSU game, if Arkansas won, he was going to have them in the field over Georgia. He does have Arkansas in the field over Georgia, although he had a typo in his little ticker that had Arkansas as both the last 4 in and the first 4 out. I don't know how that's possible, but if any team could do it, it would be Arkansas. But I think what happened there is he intended to move Georgia out of the field. He still has them as their last team in because Wake Forest took that bad loss, and so he bumped them out. So Arkansas is actually not his last team in the field. They're in the last 4, whatever, okay? So he's got them in the first 4 out in Dayton playing San Diego State. That's just – I almost feel like Arkansas is just going to play San Diego State and Dayton. Every projection I see – I shouldn't say every because I'm about to give you a different one, but most of them have that being the case. Here's what I'll say. If you're going to get San Diego State in the NCAA tournament, this is the year to do it, right? Because they're not as good as they usually are. So sure, whatever, fine, let's do that. At any rate, if they get past San Diego State, they go down the road to Cleveland, where they would have a rematch set against 6th seed Illinois, and then a potential round of 32 game with Kentucky. Oh, baby. Give me that. Please give me that. They'll try to avoid that if they can with the SEC on SEC crime in the round of 32. In some situations, they might not be able to. It's usually a bracketing principle, but they've got 12, 13 SEC teams in there. Sometimes you're not going to be able to avoid it. Now, Kentucky would have to get past Jacksonville State, and I know you're thinking, yeah, whatever. Well, two things. One, Jacksonville State's sneaky good. They're not bad at all. A dangerous team, and we know Kentucky struggles defensively, and Mark Pope's never won a game in March. Doesn't mean he won't, but he hasn't yet. So until he does, you always wonder what's going to happen there. That would be bananas. Craziness. Could you imagine? Whew, buddy. We can only dream. At any rate, Jerry Palm over at CBS, he has Arkansas in the first 4 again in Dayton against Indiana. Sign me up for that. They've already got a lame duck coach over there. Please, I mean, come on. However, the next game then would be against good old Slick Rick Pitino and St. John's. If I'm Arkansas, I don't want those problems with St. John's. They're so tough and physical. However, they're one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the country, so there's that. They're also one of the best defensive teams in the country, but the John Calipari versus Rick Pitino thing would be crazy. That would be arguably the biggest storyline in the round of 64, which would be crazy because it would be like a 12-5 matchup or whatever. But that would be incredible. I like the way these guys think. One more, USA Today. They have a trio of bracketologists that work together, and they got Arkansas and San Diego State again in the first 4. We're seeing a lot of that. So obviously both teams kind of have to take care of their business, and things are going to fall however they're going to fall around them. But you know, a lot of people are thinking it's going to be Hogs and Aztecs there in the in good old Dayton. That's a hell of a game to have in Dayton, in my opinion. Let's check the bracket matrix real quick and see if it's updated as I'm recording this. Yeah, it's still as of February 13th. So this is going to change. But as of February 13th, it had Arkansas in their projected field. This is the compilation of all the bracketologists. 56 out of 106 brackets. So up to more than half of the brackets now, they have Arkansas in the field as an 11 seed. That's the first time that they've been kind of bumped into the field in the consensus there. The other teams around them, BYU, SMU, North Carolina, Pitt, Indiana, Cincinnati, Xavier in the at-large pool. So we'll keep an eye on that. If it updates before the game on Saturday, Arkansas will be in more brackets than 56. So this would be a better situation. Did you guys see the FanDuel odds that came out? I saw John Rothstein tweet them out, put out that for making the NCAA tournament, you can get Arkansas. Yes, they're in at plus 108 and then minus 140 for no. Still questioning it a little bit. And it's wild to me because they've got an SMU team that doesn't have a single quad one win at minus 160. What are we doing here? Anyway, unreal. I do want to put out one frustration that I have with Arkansas, that their metrics are lower than they should be. And a lot of it, because I was looking, it goes back to when I was barking in the non-conference. You guys remember when I was like, Arkansas is not really blowing these teams out. You wish they were. This is what I'm talking about, because it changes your metrics and your efficiency. And that subtle change it could have Arkansas higher in the pecking order, like where we think they should be, because right now that's the only thing holding some of these other SEC teams up. Oh, well, can't go back and change it. A quad 1A opportunity for Arkansas. Those are the cream of the crop wins that you can get when they go to College Station. Arkansas has 3 of them so far: Michigan, at Kentucky, at Texas. No team since in the net rankings era has been left out of the field with 4 or more quad 1A wins. They got a chance to pick up their 4th against Texas A&M. Hey, just do it. Right? Just go ahead and do it. Getting a win like this, that could potentially answer the questions as to whether Arkansas needs to get to 7 wins or 8 wins in the SEC. I still strongly suggest 8. 7 could do it, but it just depends on who you get. But if you have, at A&M on the resume, there's a decent chance that you could talk me into the 7 SEC wins thing. I just don't feel comfortable with it. Here's the way I look at it. I view it as South Carolina, that's a must win. Like you got to get that one. Then win 2 of 3 at home, and 1 of 3 on the rest of the road games, which is at A&M, at Auburn, and at Vanderbilt. You do that, that's a lock, and I don't think that's crazy. But we talk about the conference standings or the finish there. The truth is the selection committee doesn't look at conference record. They really don't. What they look at is the quality of your wins, who you beat and where you beat them. So it's really about the wins you get along the way. And that includes the SEC tournament because they view those games the exact same. But the thing is, every win in the SEC matters. So you look at how many you get, and that gives you a volume of the quality wins, right? The issue is out of conference. You and Oklahoma both have the win over Michigan on a neutral as your high mark. Georgia has a win over St. John's somehow. That's a good one for them. Texas and Vandy have done essentially nothing. And so we'll just see how this all plays out between these teams. I like where Arkansas is at right now. This is not a must win for the Razorbacks. Covering might be, though. It's the metrics thing, right? I encourage folks, if Arkansas loses a close one, not to freak out because it's not going to hurt you too much. I'll tell you will anyway, but don't overreact if Arkansas loses these 2 road games here in a row. They're projected to lose them. It would stink. It would be irritating, but keep in mind that these 2 games, Texas A&M and Alabama, it's already in the projections that have Arkansas still in the field right now. So they'd have to handle their business elsewhere, but that's kind of what people are looking at when they're thinking Arkansas is going to sneak in here. I'm not saying you're necessarily playing with house money, but if you go pick off A&M or whatever, this gets infinitely less complicated for you. In fact, it becomes pretty easy. So, these are resume solidifiers, seed line movers, but not necessarily must have. So I really do encourage everybody, don't, jump off the ledge with this team. If they drop these games to 2 top 10 teams on the road, everybody's doing that. So it's not going to ding you too much if it happens. But if you sneak one of these dudes at home, then you're really, really in a good spot. So what it would do is put an end to the myth that Oklahoma or Georgia or Texas or whoever have any case to being ahead of you in the pecking order. Cause I'm just not seeing it. That does bring me to one of my final topics here this morning. We'll do the SEC version of this, but who are we hate watching? What do we need to be rooting for on the SEC slate today? Let me pull up the schedule real fast. Men's basketball schedule Saturday. What do we got? Arkansas at Texas A&M. Are we going with the Hogs here? Is that what we want? Of course. Vanderbilt, Tennessee. Tennessee needs to get that done. Vandy needs to take all the losses they possibly can. That'd be good for the Hogs. We're Mizzou fans again. Need them to beat Georgia. Just go ahead and bump these dudes out of here and let's quit talking about them. Auburn, Alabama. Who cares? I kind of hope Auburn wins. That way they're feeling good after that huge emotional game before Arkansas goes there. Doesn't matter. If LSU were to beat Oklahoma, then we could finally stop talking about Oklahoma. So go Tigers, right? Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Doesn't really matter. I would say that I kind of hope Mississippi State gets it done because you want to lock that in as a quad 1 for you when they come for the regular season finale. Kentucky. Yeah, I guess if they could go take care of business against Texas and Austin, that would be cool. That would work out. South Carolina and Florida, it doesn't matter, but I'm still on the thing where I want South Carolina to win a game in the SEC before Arkansas goes there and plays. So there you have it. That's what's to watch for. That's where Arkansas stands in the bracketology, and that's what the former or the Razorbacks have done against Texas A&M in the past. So make sure that you're tapped in with what we got going on today. We're doing a watch party. So myself, Andrew, John, we're going to be live during the game, just watching along, giving our commentary, interacting with the chat throughout the course of the game. It's 11 a.m. At Reed Arena in College Station. And then immediately following the game, we're going to go to our new stream, Pot the Palace Live post-game reaction show. Going to be a little bit of a condensed version because Arkansas baseball got moved from 2 to 1. And so we don't want to take up too much of that time, but we got sponsors as well that sponsor the post-game show. So we definitely want to do that one. So we'll hop in, we'll go rapid fire through that thing and then get you set off to baseball. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll see you in a couple hours and enjoy the game. Better yet, enjoy the game with us. We'll see you soon.